What is up, my people? Welcome to another one. Today, we're going to be talking about some weird stuff. You know, usually don't talk about these kind of things, but it's been on the news, and I know some stuff about it. And I want to kind of talk about it a little bit. The Epstein files, it shows a lot of stuff that I've been talking about in this channel, kind of sprinkled around in this channel, but not really focused on that much. I have a video called why we hate Superman now, why America hates Superman. And that's only one of the videos where I talk about this types of stuff. But I haven't gotten into it fully or completely because I never found the necessity, and because my channel isn't really about that, that type of stuff, and because for a long time as well, it's been just conspiracies and hearsay, even though I knew that it was true because it's in the history books, it's in the Bible, and it's in a lot of places. And listen, I always talk about the Bible here, and I always quote the Bible. But it doesn't mean that I believe that the book is perfect and that the book is the end-all, be-all to everything. I just believe that it's one of the most knowledgeable books and one of the most complex books as well that has ever been written. And there's a lot of hidden messages within the Bible. As you can see here, I have a picture of an artist. I mean, somebody drew a picture of Adam and Eve, partaking of the forbidden fruit, and what does that have to do with the Epstein files, right? And what's going on here in today's situations, in today's world, where there's also being ritual sacrifices being done by this country and by every country in the world. Now, in the beginning, like for example, here in this situation in the Bible, this happened in the very beginning of humanity, or at least that's what the story says. And what happens is that God creates Earth and creates the Garden of Eden within Earth, and He creates a human. I mean, you've heard the story. He creates Adam, and for him to live in, amongst the animals and the trees or whatever, live peacefully. And the reason that he's so peaceful is because he doesn't know much, right? And it's the same thing in today's era. It's the least you know, the happier you are. You see it in a lot of people. A lot of people, when they're sad, is because they know too much, and they know too many secrets, and they know how the world really is and how dark it really is out there. And this is why a lot of people, or some people, seem to be sad. Now, most people, are not that smart, are very naive. They still believe in good guys versus bad guys. They still believe that the world is, sunshine and rainbows, and that the good guys are with us and they're on top, right? And they're the strongest. And and so they're happy. They're happy because they believe that Superman's gonna, or their particular Superman in their world, is gonna come down and save them from the bad guys. And they believe that they wholeheartedly that they are on the right side, and that makes them happy. And they're very happy, very cheerful. They go through life without a worry in the world. They're literally naked, open book, kind of like Adam and Eve. They don't care, right? And so God makes a woman for him so they could be together or whatever. And then God does something very weird. He says, he tells him, you could eat from every tree. And there's two main powerful trees here. There's a tree of life, and there's a tree of knowledge of good and evil. And for some reason, God doesn't mention one of the trees. He only mentions that one tree, the tree of knowledge, and so obviously, like a child, if you tell a child, which by the way, these are very innocent humans that are children. They're child. Right? They're like, they have the minds of children. They don't know anything, right? They don't know good or bad. Like I told you, like I described before. They're very innocent. They're very naive because they don't know. And but what they do know is that if you tell a child, don't do this, the first thing they're gonna do is gonna try to do it, or if not, it's gonna be in the back of their mind 24/7, and they're gonna want to do it. They're gonna want to do it, and at the first thing that they do when they get mad or they're bored or whatever is they're gonna go over to whatever you told them not to do, and they're gonna do it. And we all know this. You know this. I know this. But do you think God didn't know this? I mean, God is all knowing and all powerful, and you could say He created wisdom. So then, why did He do that to these children? Why did He say that to them? If He knew, like you and me, the psychology of man and how it works. So we already know what happens. They go and they partake, but the first person that partakes was Eve. And what happens is that the snake, the serpent. Now they don't say that it's the devil, right? It just says the serpent. Shows up and he tells Eve, "Hey Eve, just take from the tree and partake of the fruit, and you're not gonna die." Because the thing is, God told them that if they took from the tree, they would die, which is a lie, by the way. They didn't die. Now, if you know the story, you know that God lied. Okay, and some people will say, "Oh, that's blasphemy. God never lies." Well, then explain what happened here. Explain what happened there. Now, this is what we're doing. We're reading the book, but we're extracting the actual knowledge from the book. A lot of people just read the book, and they take the words in as they're given to them. But the truth is within the words and within the knowledge that comes through the word. You just have to read it differently. And I'm helping you guys to understand what this means. It's very simple. It's right in your face, but it's hard for a lot of people to grasp the meaning of these words that are in the Bible. And there's various things here. There's various messages. But if the only message you get from the Adam and Eve story is to be obedient and never do anything bad and always do what God says and God never lies, you're getting the wrong message. Okay, this is the person who wrote the Bible. It was a very, very, very slick person. And I mean, the type of person that tells you one thing but really she keeps it simple. And I'm not saying that I'm special or anything like that, but when I read something, I'm able to find the voice of the author within the writings. And and see how sensible the person is, and kind of hear what the person is trying to tell us. The snake tells the Eve, he actually tells her the truth. She says, God is lying. The truth is that if you take of this fruit, you're not gonna die, but you're gonna live. And not only will you live, but you're gonna be like God, knowing good and evil, right? And so Eve partakes of the fruit, and but she doesn't do it by herself. She goes to his husband, right, and gives him part of the fruit. You know what I mean? So and so they both partake of sin. Now, who made it a sin? God. Was it really a sin? No, because God said that they were gonna die, and they didn't die. Um, why didn't they die? Okay. Why, instead of them dying, they became smarter? They became able to know good and evil. So the two main messages, there's I'm gonna try to make it three because I like to do that. So number one message is, if you don't make mistakes, you don't learn. And if you don't learn, you stay a baby. You stay naive, and you stay dumb. And sure, it'll be peaceful. It'll be, it won't be that complicated, but you're still gonna stay stagnated. You're still gonna stay, a baby. Without clothes, without nothing. You're just nothing. You're just really nothing at that moment. If you make your mistake, if you commit sin, that's when you start learning. That's when you start to grow from there. So in essence, sin is not the problem. It's learning from sin, learning from your mistakes, that makes you grow, and really makes you, like the serpent says, it makes you closer to God. That's the number one message. Number two message is the love of a father to his children. Even though the father said, which is God in this situation, even though the father said, I'm gonna kill you if you do this, he decided not to do that and let them go. Number two message is, fathers lie. Fathers lie all the time. In fact, they tell you to do things that they do themselves, and they do it all the time. Just ask your father right now, did you lie to me? I mean, you probably already know, because you lie to your kids, and you tell them not to do things, to never do things that you've already done, and you've learned from your mistakes to not do those things, like drugs, like having a lot of sex all over the place, and having relationships with people that you shouldn't be having relationships, because those people are already involved with other people, and then those people might get mad and then come try to kill you, or you might catch an STD, or all of these things are things that you learn along the way. And the father tells you all the time, your father always tells you, don't do this, don't do that, learn from my mistakes. But the truth and the fact of the matter is that you have to learn those things on your own in order for you to grow, in order for you to stop being a baby. That is the truth of that particular story there. And number three, I think I've done two. Well, there's one more lesson here, and that is that when somebody sins, they'd rather do it with someone else. The snake wanted to partake of the fruit, but he wanted to see somebody else do it first. And then when Eve partook of the fruit, she says, I have to get my husband involved. That way it'll be 3 people, right? Now that it's 3 people partaking in this, it's more of a pact. All right? It's more of a we're going down together type of thing. And this is something that you're going to see all through history, and it continues in the Bible as well. You see it again in the Gnostic Gospels, where the angels made a pact with each other that they were going to sin. They were going to do something that was inappropriate, which is having sexual relationships with human women. And not only that, but teaching them the ways of the gods, teaching them how to, fashion weapons, jewelry, how to use makeup to seduce people, how to do magic, how to, all of these things that you can read in the Bible that they taught the humans. Now, all of these things were bad, but they were bad because they told us it was bad. Because someone greater than them told them you should not do these things with humans because they're not ready yet. They're still babies, and we should keep them that way. But of course, these angels decided, no, I mean, there's nothing wrong with these things. We should teach them these things. And so they got together, these angels, and they made a pact. We're going to do these things together. And if we fall together. All right. And again, we see a pact between people coming together. And most of the time, these are elites. And in the case of the angels, the fallen angels, there doesn't get more elite than them. It's like, they're like gods to us. And in fact, in some traditions, angels are gods. And so they're punished, right, for their sins, and their offspring of the Nephilim is what they call them. They're punished as well, and that's how we get certain humans or whatever. But my point is this: the lesson here is that there's the same lessons that were taught with the Adam and Eve story. Is that, first of all, there's always someone higher. There's always someone bigger than you, someone that is elite to us. For us, it could be, people in the White House, the rich and famous, the rich and powerful, political figures, right? Stuff like that. But to them, it's these guys. It's the watchers, or the angels, or the people that are above us, here on earth. And they're in control. Like, for example, right now, if the government decided that they wanted to shut me down because I was talking too much, there's nothing I could do. I could probably try to put up a fight or whatever, but the fact of the matter is, there's really nothing I could do. They could shut me down immediately, for good. And, so there's a certain part of free will that we do have, but then at the same time, our free will stops where another person's free will, who's stronger than us, begins. And that's littered throughout the Bible. You can see it, especially in the book of Job. Okay, so this kind of stuff is still going on till today. And ritual sacrifices were part of that. They taught us how to do ritual sacrifices. And a lot of these, people drank blood, and they wanted to eat human flesh. And, that's where most of the tradition of human sacrifice begins. Not all of it, but most of it is from that. It springs from fallen angels and the offspring of fallen angels not being able to satisfy their their hunger and having to eat human flesh. And I mean, when you talk about human sacrifice, the most popular ones are the Aztecs. Right? Everybody always talks about the Aztecs, but the fact of the matter is that it's all humanity has done it at one point in time. All humanity has practiced human sacrifice because it's been embedded into humans by some higher beings, and it's happening till today. It's happening now, and it just kind of shows you. It kind of shows you the dark truth of humanity. Where we come from and how these people band together and make pacts with the common folks, the people that are more naive. They play games with us. And there's really very little we could do. There's always rebellions. And very few times are the rebellions successful. Sometimes they're infiltrated. You can look at it throughout history, the way it happens. It's just the way it is. But why am I thinking about this right now when it comes to the Epstein files? Well, because the same thing's happening right now with the rich elites, with Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Epstein, what's the other guy? Bill Gates. All of these people, they're rich and powerful, right? And they band together and they say to each other, we're going to make a pact, and we're going to seal the pact by committing this sin, similar to what the angels did, similar to what Adam and Eve did, similar to even some movie. I don't know if you guys seen Salo. There's a movie called Salo. 100 Days of Debauchery, I think it's called. And the same thing happens there. You have rich and powerful people. There's a priest involved, I believe. There's a couple of politicians there. And they all get together and they decide that they're going to partake in a lot of these crazy, freaky shit that they're going to do. The reason they do it a lot of the times is because they're bored. And they need to blow up some steam or something. But there's different types of people. Some people, they're just, like I said, they want to blow up some steam. Other people, they're in for more mischievous agendas, like trying to get other people blackmailed. Other people, they're actually trying to they're actually trying to do ritual sacrifices. So they go to that island, and in that island or in that place, they're allowed to get away with these things. But the fact of the matter is that the thing that connects them all is sin. Is doing things that are evil. And like every parent does, they tell you that it's bad. And which it is. A lot of things that they're doing in these islands, they're very evil. They're things that I already know about, and that's why I don't want to see any more of it. Even though I hope it comes out so that the rest of the public realizes that these things are real and that these things have been happening for centuries, for generations. They've been doing it since forever. And it's part of humanity, unfortunately. It's the darkest side of humanity that we cannot get rid of, no matter how much we try. When people get big enough and they have enough, they start, not enough, more than enough, they start to do these crazy things. In the Bible, David told God specifically, he said, God, don't give me too much to where I will forget your name, and don't give me too little to where I will go against you. And really what that means is like, I don't want that much because I don't want to go crazy and lose my religion, lose my stability, like these people are doing. And also, I don't want too little so that I won't think that this is all bullshit. So there has to be a balance, and excuse me. And I feel like these people, these rich people, they're off of balance. They have way too much. You go look at how much money Elon Musk has, which, by the way, it was discovered that Elon Musk, the only reason he's mad at Trump and Epstein is because he wasn't invited to the party. So that should let you know what type of people we're dealing with here. And by the way, every religion in the world, including Christianity, is involved with these guys. They're involved in ritual sacrifices. They're involved in things that you wouldn't imagine. And this is why a lot of these secret societies donate to churches and to mosques and to synagogues, because these religions that we have in place today, they're fake religions. They're not real religions. They have real religion within them. They have real things within them, but they have been corrupted by humanity and by these elites. The Christianity that we have here in the United States today is a Christianity that promotes hyper-capitalism, promotes subservience to the elite, and to certain political parties, and slavery, a slavery type of mentality, meaning you can't think for yourself, you can't use your own brain. And this is the three things that American Christianity teaches. These are the main things that it teaches. And the real Christianity does not teach that. And it's hidden within the words of the Bible. Now, a lot of people could see it, a lot of people cannot see it. I have read most of the religious books, and I can tell you that there's more secrets hidden in the Bible than in most of the books. And not only that, the Christianity is so diverse with its different denominations that it has more freedom, a range of freedom. It's almost like it's almost like they tried to confuse people more with Christianity than with Judaism or with Islam. With Islam, you get about two versions of the Quran. With Judaism, you get maybe two or three interpretations of it. But most people, just take to the Quran and read it literal in one way. But when it comes to the Bible, there's parables, there's there's so many different ways to read it. That it opens up the possibilities of learning more. By the way, this is Prince I forgot his name. He's one of the princes who got fired for and this guy was torturing women and but a lot of people, they're just not they're gonna look at this and they're just gonna ignore it and pretend that it's only Jeffrey Epstein, or it's only the Democrats, or it's only... Listen, most of the people involved in here are Republicans. That's the truth. And I told you in the last video, that most of the people involved are going to be Republican. I'm not saying that the Democrats aren't doing it. Obviously, Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton are going to testify soon. And in fact, Bill Clinton said it himself. He says, go ahead and show the files, because I'll tell you what, it's not just going to be me in there. And the fact of the matter is that most of the people in the files are Republican, because the Republicans are the ones taking in the most money from special interests. Okay, that's always been the case. Okay, that's always been the case. It's not um, a new phenomenon. This has always been the case. Now, I'm not saying that the Democrats don't do it, but as of today, I told you there's about 30 plus Republicans involved in these files. And I told you that if these files are released, there won't be a Republican Party left. And they knew that was the case. All of the stuff that they were talking about, Pizzagate, that was a psyop. They were blaming the other side for the things that they were actually doing. They were actually talking about pizza. They were actually talking about that stuff. It's the oldest trick in the book. Accuse your enemy of things that you're doing. Right? And by the way, I forgot to mention, there's still people making excuses for Trump and the right-wingers and shit like that. And I mean, Bill Clinton. I'll mention Bill Clinton so you guys won't feel that bad, because I know you're zombies to your new god. And I have to keep it balanced so you won't get your panties in a bunch, even though there's people actually suffering because of this bullshit. There's people making excuses for them. And the thing they're saying is that these people weren't that young. One of them was 13. That Trump allegedly threatened. And they're younger than that, by the way. This is the stuff they released that they believe people could probably excuse and people could probably be okay with. And believe it or not, there's people out there that are kind of okay with it. And there's people making excuses for Trump already. Like, one of the things that I've heard, I was listening to a podcast. It's kind of like a podcast, but it's like a guy was making excuses for Trump, talking about, we don't know if we would do the same things if we were young. I mean, if we were rich. Why are we judging them if we're not in that position? We don't know if we would do the same thing. First of all, I'm not never gonna be sacrificing nobody, dude. Like, and cutting off feet and shit, and raping females, ritualistically or at all. Okay, that's not what I'm gonna be doing at all. Okay, anytime soon. It's not even one of my fantasies. It's not one of my things that I think about. It's these people that are doing these things. They control the world right now. And everything you do, everything you believe, everything that you think is righteous is controlled by them. And everything that you think is a sin is controlled by them as well. So this is why you think certain things are okay, you think certain things are good, you think certain things are whatever. It's because of these people. Okay, like they even said it that most of the right-wing stuff that was on Reddit and on all of these websites, it was started by Jeffrey Epstein, including QAnon and all of these people saying that the left is the baby eaters and the rapists, blaming the left for something that they were doing. That was started by Jeffrey Epstein. Why would he invest in that kind of stuff? Why would that be in his best interest? To invade the people that believe themselves to be the most righteous, that believe themselves to be the ones that are following Jesus the most. Why would he want to infiltrate those people more? Think about it.